Welcome to Bar Talk. I'm your host, Brandon T.
And I am the new co-host, Sharice, or you can call me Miss Reed.
Yeah, so this is a place we have conversations that's happening out there in the wild, and we like to talk about it. With that being said, like, subscribe everywhere you see us at. And with that being said, we have entered into the summer. And the summer is a place where people are more outside and you're doing activities and so forth. And even just casually out at restaurants or whatever, you're outside more during this time of year. And if you have children and you're not with their parents, then there's opportunities that you will be out with somebody else. Or into if you had somebody a significant other before, now you don't now, and now you're about to have one. It's an opportunity that you may see something new. And with that being said, how do you handle that? If you have a function or at a function or just out in general, that you with your new partner run into your old partner. How does that work? What is the schematics of that? What is the how do you should act in that scenario when you and the new person meet the old person? What happens then? What do you think, Sharice?
Well, I've had that happen. I've had that happen on both sides. I've had two exes that had to meet each other, and I've been an ex well, the person with the person who met the ex. Now, when the two exes met one another, I was in the hospital.
Mm.
And so I had surgery. I was in the hospital and I had a guy I was with. And the person that was my ex, I was still very good friends with him, still good friends with him to this day. And we dated years ago. And he said, "Hey, when you have surgery, I want to be able to come to the hospital, make sure you're okay. Can you talk to your guy you're dating to make sure that's not going to be a problem?" And I did, and he said, "That's not a problem. I know about him. He's have nothing but good things to say." And so he came to the hospital, and they both sat there, and it was okay. We didn't have no problems at all.
So very
But
respectable. It was respectable on both sides. He like I know the situation since I know the situation, and he asked permission. That that's cool, and then he interacted with you in the situation in a respectable manner. Is that what you're saying?
energy begets energy. If you come in here with some crazy energy, then you gonna get some crazy energy back in most cases. So even if, like you said, if you're out and you're like, "Hey, this is my new girl or new guy," and the other person start acting crazy, well, the other person don't know what to do but meet that because they could be in danger. I don't know.
Right. So what if it's a scenario? Let's see. What if it's a scenario where let's see. Let's put like I got you. Energy begets energy, and you're right. That can escalate far off. Depends on what I'm saying the person, the two people involved. Right. Because I guess there's been
Yep.
certain scenarios where that the old person looks at the new person in a way. Depends on how they broke up. Depends on how the people broke up. Versus, hey, I'm a challenge that person, or I'm going to be extra friendly, super familiar with her or him. The ex with the person you're with at this point. And then two, what do you do with that energy?
When somebody is super familiar.
Super familiar, trying to be super familiar. The ex is trying to be super familiar with the person that the other person's with. Trying to be super familiar. So the common denominator in this scenario, and the ex is being super familiar. What happens with that? What would you do in that scenario if with a guy that's your ex is being too familiar with you while your current is with you?
Well, if it's me and he's being too familiar, I feel like it's my job to stop that. Not the guy I'm with, not for him to step in and go, "Hey, dude, you're doing too much here." It's for me to be like, "You know what? Take your hand off me. That's not what you do." But you know I'm mean, so nobody will probably address me that way. So you know I mean.
Well, maybe
So
not
you ain't
necessarily
that ain't gonna
touching you.
happen. Won't
Well,
be me.
well, not maybe not
What?
necessarily touching you, but you know, what I'm saying he's extra close when the you know what I'm saying this proximity of you're not like you know what I'm saying so you're in an event or whatever and the person he's super close the ex finds a way to be extra close to you. I mean, not necessarily touching you, but like right there. And so for super
Look,
familiar, try
I
to be
am the
super
queen
familiar.
of distance. I am the queen of step away. Step, step, step. You step too many times when I'm stepping. We gonna have a whole conversation. I will say I've been in a situation though where that happened where the guy I was with exes was too familiar. She literally sat down and put her hand on his knee.
Whoa, all right. So
And
she,
I was like, okay.
did you say something or did you say something to her or you signaled him?
I didn't say anything to anybody because I thought it was hilarious. I personally thought it was hilarious because that's the confidence I had in myself. Like that, whatever. You can sit there with your hand on his knee as long as you want to. Ain't nothing happening with that. I got no problems with it at all.
So you knew you're okay. So you were confident in your position with him at that time.
Yeah.
That's why you felt like okay, she trying to disrespect you, and so you let that ride because like yo it don't matter. At the end of the day, it didn't matter because she going her way, he going with you.
At the end of the day, I was still getting in the car with him, and he was gonna drive me off, and she was gonna be on that bus stop. So there you go.
Not the bus stop.
And she was. She was on the bus stop while we were in the car. So I didn't let that bother me at all.
Right. But I look at it like this is that is that the too familiar part. Me personally, I don't like stuff to get too familiar when stuff shouldn't be familiar. And I guess it's a blanket for me completely. It's just like if I took my car to the shop and the person's black and they're black and and I'm not Mister, excuse me, sir, all that the stuff that I should be, and it's too familiar talk. I don't like that. So too familiar in any scenario that ain't supposed to be bothers me completely. And so
So you
forth.
want the level of professionalism in a professional setting.
Right, I want that familiar, and then too, I look at it like that. If I'm with somebody that has an ex that they show up in somewhere, and I'm like this, it's like I said, energy matches energy, and I know myself. I know that I can drive energy high. I know I can go all the way, completely all the way over the moon, and so forth. And so I look at knowing myself as I know myself for as long as I've known myself. That you know what I'm saying that you know what I'm saying I'll match energy and double it. And so I try not to do that. But like I said, I would look at okay, if this too familiarness happening, it's like I would expect the person I'm with to in turn check that side.
Well, I think
If
that's
it's too familiar.
the correct expectation. I, but in that situation, I didn't care. He didn't do any. Well, I don't think he knew what to do, but and I didn't care because it was like okay, he don't want her. I wasn't even concerned. But I do think that it is the person whose ex that it is responsibility to take care of that. Like they need to tell the person, hey, wait a minute, you overstepping boundaries, so that the person you're with is not getting involved in that.
Right.
You do need to take care of that if it's your ex. If it's your ex, it's your responsibility.
Right, and I look at it. Kind of look at it both ways. Like if my ex is being too familiar or doing something that I feel that you know what I'm saying uncomfortable to the person, I'm checking the ex and say, yo, what are we doing over here? We gonna have a small conversation about, hey, this ain't proper and so forth. And I guess I would expect that to happen both ways. But I'm taking it that sometimes that don't happen, and I
Well, but that's a level of respect that they have for you to make sure they check it. That situation I was in, I was like, I didn't even care whether he checked it or not. That wasn't going nowhere further than her purposely sitting down there to try to irritate me, which is it was better for me to not let that work than to give her any ounce of it did work in that situation. Now, some other situation might have been a little bit different. I don't know. But that situation, I was like, oh, she's trying to get on my nerves. That's not going to work because you're going to be on the bus stop and I'm going to be in the car driving past you on that bus stop. So I don't really care. But hey, I've also met an ex. I dated this comedian once and he had kids. And he wanted me to meet the mother because one of the kids had autism
Okay.
and had an issue when it got too hot. So he was like, I want you to meet her because I want you to understand how to deal with his issue when if something happens to this little boy that was always around. And I adored the little boy. And so, but I went to her house. I literally went to her house
Okay.
and he introduced us and he said, hey, this is Sharice, I'm dating her, we've been together for whatever, and John, his son, is always around, and I want you to tell her how to handle if anything goes wrong. And so I was like, I'm really interested in what to do. How does this start? What am I supposed to do with this? And we just had a conversation. And she told me everything I needed to know. And we had a great conversation. And after that, they talked and something he said, she said she really likes you. That don't you were very respectful and you were really concerned about our son, and that's why she respected you. So sometimes that respect too is earned.
Right.
It's earned.
Gotcha. And then let me ask you this: so, far as introductions, I'm gonna pivot back to you said about how you was introduced. How? What's the proper way to introduce your new person to your old person? Now you got a point where now you're gonna introduce them. Do you introduce them by, hey, Sharice, this is Susie. Susie, this is Sharice. What's the proper way of making that introduction?
Okay, are we knowing this gonna happen or we don't know this is gonna happen? Because
So
if you know,
if
go
you
ahead.
know what's gonna happen, like I said, you already know the
Then you
person
need
is
to
gonna
tell
be there.
both of them. Set the expectation. I'm big on setting the expectation. Tell them both how each other is. Tell them what you expect of both of them and their behavior, and hope that works the way it's supposed to. But set the expectation. Hey, Susie, I'm bringing my new one girl by. I'd like for you to meet her. I really don't want any issues. Is that going to be a problem? Ask questions. Get clear, concise answers. And verse, same thing with girl. Hey, new girlfriend, I'd like for you to meet Susie. She's the mother of my kids. I want you all to get along for the sake of the children. We can coexist and go parent.
Right.
And if one of them start popping off, then don't do that because that's gonna be a problem.
So you're saying that if you know that that both people are going to be there, you would then had prepped both people that the other person is going to be there. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's not a scenario where, you know what I'm saying, I know both people, forget it, you know what I'm saying, they show up and they'll here is such and such this is such and such.
Yeah, you just set the expectation. Look, people like me. I once went to my ex fiance's parents' 50th anniversary party, and he had been married for 5 years to somebody else with
Mm,
his wife there.
right. All right. So what? Okay. So what about the next scenario? What if you don't know that the other person's gonna be there, and you're with your person, and the other person comes up? How does that? What does that introduction look like? How do you want to be introduced as?
It is what it is. Susie, this is my new girlfriend. I've been, whatever. This is Lisa. Lisa, this is Susie, my ex, so and so.
So
Don't lie.
titles. So
That's
everybody
what you
gets
don't do.
titles. Is that what you're saying? Everybody,
Tell them.
who the
Yes,
person is
do
to you.
yes, do not lie. Don't act like that's just your friend from high school and you knew you was with that girl for 3 years because you get ready to have a whole problem. I promise you, you're going to have a problem. She's going to figure out that you were more than some high school friends, and then she's going to get home, she's going to hit you upside your head. So tell her the truth.
So
Okay?
so introducing the person properly as who they are to you is the best way to do it. So you got the ex and like, hey ex, this is my girlfriend Susie. Susie, this is my ex Jonathan or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So proper introductions clear up a lot of things. Okay, you know what? You know what? That is absolutely yes. Proper
We getting
introduction.
too old to be lying to people. Tell the people the truth.
Just straight
That's
up.
who
Cause
they
like I said,
are.
is that a level of respect for everybody? Cause you know now your partner, like hey, the partner now who you're with, they're like okay, you have been solidified of who you are in front of that person, and then you let the other person know who exactly that person is. So these two people know whoever you know. What I'm saying these two people are at that point, right?
what? Let me put it this way. You and Susie broke up 2 years ago, and you with Jamie. I don't know. And now you, no, yeah, you're with Jamie. You and Jamie go to a barbecue, and Jamie's ex guy is there, and she says to you, you know ex guy's name, and you say, hey, hey Brandon, this is Brian. Brian, this is my friend Brandon.
Okay.
How does that make you feel?
How would that make me feel? I don't feel like why am I not introduced properly? I would feel like, yo, you didn't introduce me properly. I'm just anybody in the crowd at that point. Like you would
you,
introduce
you
somebody
could be
else over there.
obnoxious, but hell, we know. So that's my point about proper introductions. This is my man Brandon, Brian, and this is he and I dated 2 years ago. That's who you downplay. You downplay the ex. You not downplay it like it never happened, but you like, oh, we dated 3 years ago. Yeah, that didn't work out, and you downplay them. You don't downplay the person you with.
Right. Absolutely. That you know what? Yes. Yeah. Cause you're
You
right.
got too many buttons.
Like I said, cause you got. It's. I think, with all of it in total, it's all about respect. Do you respect the person that you're with versus the person you used to be with, and so forth? If you can't stand on your whatever your relationship status is with that person, then when and then say, hey, new old person, this is my people's. We are X, and so forth. You
And
can't.
say it with your chest.
And like I said, if you can't, you know what I'm saying, stand on it completely, regardless of any situation. Because I guess there could be mitigating factors where, like I said, maybe it's like a big event. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's you know what I'm saying, your kid graduating high school or something, and there's a whole bunch going on. Do you in turn in that scenario? Do you give the full? Would you give the full introduction, or you would give the Brandon, like and so forth. What would you do in that scenario?
Again, I would rather tell them who the new person is to me. I don't care how they feel. I care how the person I'm with feels. And that's what should be the main focus, regardless, is always making that person feel comfortable. And even maybe having a conversation. How would you like to be introduced? You want me to tell me you're my man, my boyfriend? What do you want to be called?
Right.
And go with that and stay on it. Like I said, stand on it and say it with your chest. Don't try to impress these people you don't even be around anymore. Who cares what they think? You ain't with him unless you do care, because that's what you're going to give the impression of, that you do care what they think if you get that wrong.
So if you don't give the title to the person, your ex person, and you just introduce them by their name, then that means you're trying to save face for this particular person, or you care or don't care.
I'm saying it could appear that way.
Okay.
I'm saying it could appear that way. I don't know what it is, but it could appear that you're trying to downplay the relation or this person that you brought to this event with you. Because later on, you can tell them, oh, that's just some guy I brought to the event with me. That's why I didn't tell you he was my man or boyfriend, because he's not. You don't know the other side of that, which is why it's bothersome,
Right.
because you don't know the conversation that that person could possibly be having on the other side, because you didn't get introduced as boyfriend or man. You got introduced by your name as, friend. We don't know who you are. You
Ooh.
live on the block.
Th- Woo,
You was a
shit.
ride.
Right.
I
You
don't
you you
know.
you anybody. You were anybody. You didn't get properly introduced to who what. Oh, you know what? You are absolutely right. So that in turn tells a lot. So people out there in the comments, let me know if this has ever happened to you. Have you ever, first of all, got introduced not properly to somebody's ex? And then two, and the second thing is, if you have been in that scenario where, you know what I'm saying, somebody was too familiar with the person you was with, how did you handle it? Throw that in the comments for us, and let's see it. And then what we're gonna do, I'm gonna add in something in. We may do it, may not, sporadically and so forth. But like I said, we get some particular show that has a lot of comments. We're gonna come back and create and do a show probably on a weekend show, whatever, where we address some of the comments and so forth. So
Well, let me
stay
tell
tuned
you
to
right
that.
now, we got comments from yesterday, a lot more than I usually get, and I've been trying to answer them all. Y'all know I love the comments. Thank you so much for putting the comments on there. I love reading them and responding. But give me some more. I love those comments. So maybe we could circle back to something from yesterday because we got some comments from there.
Yep. So with that being said, this has been Bar Talk, and we've enjoyed you, and we see you next time. Peace.
Peace.